Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Today we're speaking with Noreen Scott Garrity in conjunction with her Cerulean Collective exhibition, which is on view now through November 9th. Hello, Noreen.
Hi, Michael. Thanks.
Oh, thanks for being here. Let me share my screen here
Okay.
and see your show. Okay, so tell us a bit about the new show.
Well, I've begun to explore landscapes outside of my home region in New Jersey. So there's a couple coming up here. Maine Fish Ladder and Maine Fish Ladder 2 are inspired by a real structure in mid-coastal Maine. Um, But I think at least infusing the site with a kind of otherworldly quality, here's one of the fish ladders. So although it looks like a sort of a fantastic structure, it actually is a real place embedded within the landscape, but I've kind of elongated it so that it has a strange rolling quality, almost like you could sort of enter and ramble through the site itself, and that also is the same fish ladder from a different direction. And I hadn't painted on panel in a while, so this one and the first one you showed are on panel, which I actually love doing because you forget that it's such a different surface than canvas, which kind of gives as you're pushing the brush against it. Um, so I wasn't sure which direction you were going to go in. So I like to name my solo exhibitions just because it kind of almost gives the body of work a theme on its own. So I called this one Time After Time, continuing a tradition of naming my exhibitions after song titles. So in this case, it's the Cyndi Lauper song Time After Time, and also references a return to some personal motifs that I've worked with for decades, since the song was popular in the 1980s. So thus the Time After Time. So things like ruins, gateways, gates, doorways, steps, water, and other elements within the landscape kind of echo across these canvases. So it became a bit of an exercise in working out different palettes, textures, shapes, and spatial differences between the sort of using the same motif but treating it in different ways in the different artworks. So I also am sort of paying homage to some of my 1980s painting heroes, with works like some of the ones coming up, some of the larger ones, Winter Garden, Sentinels, Time After Time, and the one that's being shown here, Rose Moon, shaped by love for expressionistic, what I would call romantic 80s paintings like Jim Dine, Christopher LeBrun, Ross Bleckner, and I could probably name more. But I think that's kind of what I was thinking with these. I wanted to make sort of these big, and as you noted when I was hauling these into the gallery the other week, that they have sort of exploded in size. And so, that's fun too, is to not just try different surfaces and different palettes, but also, sort of the different scale. And with this one, because this is based on an old photograph of kind of an abandoned garden that I've had since the 1980s, and I actually painted the same motif when I was in graduate school at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. But it's kind of taken on. I found the photo again recently when we were cleaning out the barn at the back of our house, and I was like, oh, I always loved that image. So it was kind of an excuse to pull it out and see what I could do with it again. So that was the one that we were just looking at. These are kind of still vestiges from my local paintings, even though they look very romantic and sort of dreamy. But this is actually based on a site here in Salem County called Fort Mott, that is an old Civil War era. It's not a ruin exactly, but it is a strange place. It was sort of with bunkers and artillery mountings. Most of it's most of that obviously is gone, but it's a very cool place. So in this painting and in the little watercolor, I'm kind of exploring that. The painting is taking much more liberties spatially, making it look like it's kind of higher up on a hill than it really is. The watercolor, which you're looking at here, is much more true to life in terms of both palette and the way that this bunker is situated. Um, so kind of again looking for those unusual shapes within the landscape. And then we're back to one of the gates that I was referencing. And this one, I really was looking a lot at artists like Jim Dine, who painted a series of gates back in the 1980s. So I wanted this one to really just be about the gate. And initially, there were going to be kind of implied shapes behind it. But then I thought, oh, it's just so much fun to paint this gate that I just want to kind of work on that and see what will come out of that. And then even the columns are kind of again a homage to the big splashy paintings in the 1980s and like sort of German expressionism, even the colors that are used there. The cats, I'm still unsure about, but originally they were kind of those lion driveway guardians. But I just thought they looked kind of funny, and we actually have three black cats, so I decided to make them cats, and this painting is called Sentinels. So they really are based on two of our cats. Our cat Gypsy is on the left with just the silhouette, and our cat Salem is the one who's batting at the fireflies. So I wanted it to be kind of whimsical, and I think the cats kind of add that whimsical element and perfect for an October
Right.
exhibition.
That's right.
Um, this is the same gateway as that rose-colored painting that we looked at just a couple of moments ago. But again, with a completely different palette, with sort of a different perspective on the gates and the structures. And actually, I think even a different time period for this place. In this case, the garden had been somewhat cleaned up more so than in the rose colored one. Um, but still the structure is there, the gate is there, it's kind of partially open. And I just really wanted to take a beat and sort of explore the same motif over and over again and see what happens. Sometimes I'm like I get too bored and I just want to switch from one thing to another. So I don't always kind of take the time to do that. But this time I thought I'm going to sit with some of these motifs for a while. This is leftover Pensgrove landscapes. Not that I'll never get back to them, but this is based on a runoff canal in our town that I kind of made look more like a pool. And again, a structure, an odd, unusual structure sitting within the landscape. So there's the watercolor, which was done earlier, and then I decided to do a larger painting of it, which is not exactly the same. Kind of explores more of the textures. There was this strange soccer ball in the pool, I mean, in reality, that had grown some kind of biological experiment on it. So it was this really cool textured sphere within this pool shape. And again, it's really a canal, so I kind of made it look like more like a pool. It really kind of runs further into the distance, kind of the way the painting makes that shape that you're seeing there, where it goes back like a pathway into the distance. Um, but again, using the idea of whether they be local landscapes, main landscapes, or landscapes that are based on a place from a photograph that I've never been, they're all kind of working with structures within the landscape. And yeah, so that's time after time.
Just take one pass through here again.
Yeah, so I think they all relate, even though some of them are kind of finishing up with the Pensgrove landscapes, at least for now. Some of them are working with the main landscapes, which are new, and then working with the gates and the garden site um, is kind of how time-wise how they evolved. And the one rose moon one, that's the very, not the bigger pink one, but the smaller pink one, really went through some iterations. I was even trying to remember myself how that one came about. I I had that photograph that I've had literally for decades. That's, just like an old grubby photograph in a book. And I had painted it in graduate school. I had a slide. Remember those? I had a slide of the painting that I did a sketch from, a drawing from, that I really liked that became a painting that's actually underneath the Rose
Wow.
Moon painting that I completely painted over. That one really evolved in these different, like 5 times removed from the original source. But I kind of like that about it, that it sort of took on a life of its own. You know how you have those magical moments in painting sometimes when you feel like I don't know whether it's like you just kind of let go and you're just going with the flow and you're just painting and you're not like overthinking it too much. And I
Right.
feel like that kind of happened with that one, which is always a great feeling, but all too fleeting.
Yeah, it becomes, addictive. You kind of want to get there again, but it's hard work to get there.
Absolutely.
Lots of drudge work in between. But it's worth it. Well, thanks so much, Noreen. It's a fantastic show.
Thank you.
So the show is up through November 9th. We hope people come down to check it out. And everything's also available on the website, ceruleanarts.com. So thanks again for being here, Noreen, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.